One important area of achievement that we've accomplished in the UN system, besides, in addition to the adoption of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and key roles of participation in many different fora and aspects of the United Nations work, is the creation of three mechanisms that specifically address the rights of Indigenous peoples and issues pertaining to Indigenous peoples' lives. And those are the UN Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, and the last body to be created based in Geneva is the Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And these were all brought about because Indigenous peoples felt that they need a way to specifically have their rights violations that they were experiencing in their homelands and around the world addressed by a specific mandate holder that focused on those violations and made recommendations to states of how to remedy the violation of Indigenous peoples' human rights, and that, of course, is the UN Rapporteur. The Permanent Forum's mandate is to address Indigenous peoples' concerns and issues in a range of areas, including human rights, but also health, education, environment, and others as well, development. And that meets every year, that body meets every year. It advises the UN system through the Economic and Social Council about how the UN system can better serve the needs and realize the rights of Indigenous peoples. And the Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples established in Geneva focuses on conducting studies and advising the UN Human Rights Council, which is made of countries, of states, about ways to better realize the rights of Indigenous peoples, and specifically ways to ensure the effective implementation of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Just recently, in the last about 2-3 years ago, its mandate was strengthened as called for by the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples, and it began to take on what's called country engagements, where Indigenous peoples or states could ask for assistance from the MREP in resolving specific situations that were problematic in that the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples in one of its various principles was being violated or not being fully implemented. And I'm happy to say that my organization, on behalf of my nation, the Yaqui Nation, sent in a request and now is the focus of a country engagement at the MREP for the return of our sacred Masakova, our ceremonial deer head that was confiscated or collected by 2 anthropologists in the 1930s when we were prisoners of war in southern Mexico. We're at war with Mexico on the Mexico side of the border till 1939, till we had a treaty ratified and recognized called the Decree of 1939. But this sacred item, which for us has a living spirit, has been held in the Museum of Ethnography, which is a national museum by the government of Sweden in Stockholm, Sweden, since that time, and we discovered it in 2003, and we have been trying everything we can, including meetings with the Swedish government, with the museum itself, statements and consultations at the United Nations to try to achieve its return. It must come home in accordance with our traditions, laws, and customs. So the MREP has taken that on, and at the same time looking for the development of an international mechanism so that the Indigenous peoples around the world who have their sacred items and human remains in museums and auction houses and private collections will have a mechanism to begin the process of repatriation. So we're very excited by that, and that's just one example of the kinds of cases that the MREP can do in its country engagement in assisting Indigenous peoples and states, because we're meeting with Sweden on this matter, to have our rights fully realized and implemented. I really encourage everybody to participate, to look and see which of these mechanisms really suit the situation you're trying to address for your peoples. And I hope to see all of you participating in the UN arena to support the struggles that are going on in your homelands, because that's the whole point of work at the UN, that we can actually back up and support the struggles that are going on in our own lands and territories, and support more than ever the cause of human rights defenders. I just got a bulletin. I'm in Quito, Ecuador right now at a meeting with states and indigenous peoples to talk about enhancing participation of indigenous peoples in institutions and representative bodies at the United Nations, and we're talking about human rights defenders as well. And I just got a bulletin that last year they documented 28 indigenous peoples, human rights defenders that were killed in Latin America, just this one region. So we're discussing these matters, and the United Nations arena gives us a lot of opportunity. There's indigenous peoples from all the regions here, as well as state governments that are friendly to indigenous peoples' rights. So it provides a great opportunity for us to continue to make progress in this very unique and challenging, but also an arena that we can come together as indigenous peoples and improve the lives of our peoples and future generations. So thank you for asking me to make these comments, and I hope they're helpful. Thanks.